welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United transfer news show. Lots and lots to talk about in today's show. Just did the one piece of content yesterday, a little bit of a short video talking about our transfer targets because really there wasn't much to talk about yesterday and the Euros is in full swing. But today there is quite a bit of news and information coming out. Valencia have made a bid for Mason Greenwood, which now means that if Juventus miss out on Mason Greenwood, they'll go for Jadon Sancho, and maybe that's the best case scenario. Greenwood wants to stay in Spain. He goes to Valencia for 30 million. Sancho goes to Juventus, who are willing to pay his wages, and then we sell both Greenwood and Sancho. Maybe we have the ability to push for Olise once that happens. But more importantly, coming in, Manchester United have just been linked from a decent French outlet. It's not like Fabrizio Romano level reliable, and it's not like super tier 1 reliable, but Manchester United have been linked to Xavi Simons from a very good outlet, a very good source of information, and it said that Man United have now made a loan proposal to bring Xavi Simons in. Now, you've got to remember something. PSG do not want to sell Xavi Simons. Manchester United are saying, we'll take him away from you on loan. Now, that could be the best option because the other option is him going back to RB Leipzig, which obviously he's done really well at RB Leipzig, and I can completely understand him wanting to go back to RB Leipzig, but if he wants the next step in his career, it's going to be the Premier League. So we're going to talk about Xavi Simons to United, but we're going to talk about the outs, and then we're going to talk about some news on João Neves that's come out today, some news on Branthwaite that's come out today, some news on Ten Hag getting a new contract coming out today and what the situation is with that. Manchester City in more and more trouble, and some news on that coming out today as well. And then we can just talk about other stuff. So make sure you hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And yeah, let's get into it. I hope it's true of Simons. I hope that Man United have gone in and proposed to get Simons on loan, and we know that PSG wants Simons to go out on loan. I don't know if Simons will choose United. Straight off the bat with Xavi Simons, I hope that the outlet's somewhat credible. I hope that we have gone for Xavi Simons. I don't know if he chooses Manchester United. It's like Xerxes. Man United wants Xerxes. Man United will pay Xerxes release clause, but does Xerxes want Man United? And we're in that same situation with Xavi Simons. Would you take the Everton defender? I would take the Everton defender for the right price. Once it goes over 55 million, walk away. The most I personally play is 50 million. If it's plus 5 million in add-ons, that's fine. As soon as it goes over 55 million, which includes add-ons, I would walk away because we're in a position where I think the centre-back market is really good right now. I think there's some really good options. You've got Todibo that's available for a good price. You've got Sancho who could be available for a good price. There's so many decent centre-backs out there available for a decent price. Even Diamonde is being quoted at 50 million with Sporting lowering the fee now. But I think if you can't get Branthwaite, that's fine. Go for Diamonde. Go for someone else. Xavi Simons is a baller, but not sure I see that's happening to us. Yeah, I'm kind of like that. I'd love Xavi Simons, but I don't know if he chooses us as well. So let's start with the Greenwood news. It was said Valencia have made a £25 million bid for Mason Greenwood. So that's the first thing that's said. It's also said he's been linked to Juventus, but is keen to stay in Spain, having been on loan at Getafe last season. So it said that obviously Valencia have made a £25 million bid for Mason Greenwood, but he is keen. But he also has been linked with Juventus, but he's keen to stay in Spain, having been on loan at Getafe last season. So that is the latest on Mason Greenwood. We know that Juventus made a 25 million bid with 5 million in add-ons, taking it to 30 million, which is 30 million euros, which is a 35 million euro deal. We know that Manchester United are holding out for 40 million for Greenwood, but I think they'd accept 30 million base with 5 million in add-ons. I think that's what they'd accept. They've got a 25 million bid from Valencia. That's the first bid. I think they can push for a 30 million bid from Valencia. And I think Mason Greenwood could probably go to Valencia for around £30 million because he does want to stay in Spain. And if that is the case, it is believed that then, Juventus will go for Sancho. It was said by the Sunday Mirror that Juventus have also been tipped to land Greenwood in a deal said to be worth 40 million with add-ons, but a source close to the players' camp confirmed Valencia's offer is concrete and Greenwood's priority is Spain. The United Muppeters added to this story that believe United have been expecting an offer from Juventus, and when it came, it was closer to 25 million. So if the Valencia offer is true, a few add-ons, I'm sure they'll take it. Could open the door for Sancho to Juventus as well. And that's what's said by the Muppeters. Man United just want the deal to be over 30 million. So it's 20 million's coming in. Man United want the deal with add-ons to come to around 35 million. And I think Man United will take it. He's got 1 year left on his contract. They can't bring him back for obviously non-footballing reasons. And they need to make money out of it. And unfortunately, 20% of it is going to go to Getafe. So it's really important we do get over £30 million. But you know what? If Greenwood goes to Valencia, that's probably better for him because he's probably a bit more settled in Spain, having spent a year there. and then that could open the door for Sancho to go to Juventus, but Juventus need to get Sule out the door. What's my thoughts on the De Ligt rumours? I think Matthias De Ligt is overrated. Matthias De Ligt is on big wages. He's not had a good 2 or 3 seasons in a row. He's had big fees. Matthias De Ligt is a John Murta deal. It's an Ed Woodward deal. Oh, he's a good player. He's a big name. He's got a higher rating on FIFA. When you look at the amount of centre-backs in the market and the value for centre-backs in the market, Todibo is a better player than Matthias De Ligt right now. And Todibo will be half the price and half the wages. For me, Matthias De Ligt wouldn't make my top 20 centre-back options. He's not a bad player, but I think he's overrated. When I think the fee you've got to pay, the fact that Bayern wants to offload him and the wages you've got to pay, I think Matthias De Ligt would be a classic old Man United deal. I think he's a bit too expensive and a little bit overrated as well. Would you use Lindelof in a deal for Branthwaite? I mean, I would if I could. If we could get Branthwaite for 40 million plus Lindelof, I'd be all over that. I want to get Lindelof out the door, but I don't think we will. I don't think Lindelof's a Sean Dyche defender. Are the De Ligt rumours true? I'm sure we have an interest in him, but I don't think we're going to pursue him. I think we're being heavily linked to De Ligt because we're in negotiations for Branthwaite. The way I see it is Man United have put 1 bid in for Branthwaite. Everton rejected it. Man United preparing their 2nd bid for Branthwaite. Man United is thinking, well, we're not going to overpay for Branthwaite. We've got other options. So I think we're deliberately being linked reliably to De Ligt. So if we don't go for Branthwaite, we're trying to convince Everton that we really like De Ligt. I don't think we'll go for De Ligt. I just think because we're putting in bids for Branthwaite, that's why we're being super credibly linked to De Ligt, because I think Manchester United are using it as a tactic to scare Everton to the fact that we may walk away and pursue other options if we can't get Branthwaite as well. As Richard said, Todibo is an absolute no-brainer. Xavi is Dutch. Ten Hag can convince him. I just don't like the loan deal without option to buy because we will be developing players and sending them back to PSG as a better player, which is 100% true. And I will get back into that in a second as well. I'm going to get back into the Xavi Simons news, back into chat in a second. Bayern or his agent is also generating interest for De Ligt, with Man United interest most likely. Yeah, and I think obviously it's so obvious to link Man United to De Ligt because of Ten Hag. Like, it's such an obvious story. So, right. Which brings us into Sancho. Juventus have moved ahead of Dortmund in trying to sign Jadon Sancho from Manchester United. They said the club is testing the possibility of signing Sancho on loan with an option to buy. Now, it's really important there'll be an option to buy if Sancho does go on loan. Juventus have turned their attention to the winger after calling their interest in Greenwood. Right now, it's suggesting that Greenwood to Valencia, 30+ million deal more likely. Sancho to Juventus, loan with option to buy more likely. Once that is done, Manchester United can push for Michael Olise. Michael Olise is willing to wait. Michael Olise is willing to assess all the options on the table. Yes, Chelsea are aggressively pushing for Michael Olise, but the player is more than ready to wait and assess the options on the table, wait until see what Newcastle give him, Bayern give him, Manchester United give him. Olise is very comfortable and very happy taking his time with that deal. He's not like he's at the Euros. It's not like he needs anything done. Olise is very relaxed. And I also think one of the reasons Olise is very relaxed is Crystal Palace are in a very good place with Glasner, recruitment-wise. I think Crystal Palace are in a good place. The club's in a good direction. So if worst-case scenario, he has to stay at Crystal Palace another year. I don't think it's a bad choice for Olise because he's a good club for developing and stuff as well. So I think Olise is very relaxed in making his decision, and I think he's willing to wait a little bit longer. And I think the longer and longer Olise waits, I think that's a better sign for us as well. Why are we signing a left-footed centre-back first when we desperately need a right-footed centre-back after losing Varane? Because apparently Branthwaite is right-footed. Apparently he's like Greenwood, where he's right-footed. Branthwaite's strong foot. I'll show you this. Because some sources say his left foot is his strong foot, and some people say his right foot is his strong foot. But apparently he's so two-footed that nobody knows what his preferred foot is. Apparently he was actually right-footed, but he's so two-footed. So no one really knows what Branthwaite's strong foot is. He's that two-footed with both. I think, personally, I like Branthwaite. I wouldn't spend more than 50 million on him. I do think when there's Todibo out there for such a good price, I would look at Todibo. I also think Leny Yoro would be the ideal Varane replacement, but I do think that Leny Yoro is probably most likely Real Madrid bound as well. We're being highly linked with him because the media needs to put a negative spin on the manager again. He's linked to a foreign player again. True. I think the De Ligt links are, okay, De Ligt is probably like 10th on our list, sure. But I think we're in for Branthwaite. We're putting in bids for Branthwaite. So the media is kind of like, well, we're in for Branthwaite, putting bids for Branthwaite. So let's leak that we have other players on the list. It's like a bit of a pressure on Everton. But also, Ten Hag is staying. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dan. Oh, what will make people annoyed? Ten Hag signing another Ajax player. Cool, let's link us to De Ligt. Bayern want to get rid of De Ligt. Ten Hag wanted him. it will annoy Man United fans, and we're obviously in for Branthwaite. So there's lots of reasons why I think we're being heavily linked to De Ligt. We're going to talk about the Xavi Simons news in a second, guys. So make sure you hit that like button as well. Not bothered exactly where Jadon goes as long as he's permanently sold in the end. 100%. I literally could not care about Sancho and where he goes as long as he's out the door, as long as we get money for him in the end, and we can go and pursue Olise as well. Branthwaite's a relegation player, though. How is he good? Branthwaite was unbelievable at PSV last season when they won the league. Not won the league, but you know what I mean. He was unbelievable at PSV last season. Had a really good season at PSV in a possession-based side, and he's had a really good season at Everton in a relegation side, which, to be fair, if they didn't have their points deduction, would have finished very, very mid-table. And when you look at the Everton squad, they massively overachieved. Sean Dyche did, and Branthwaite was Everton's player of the season. So, you know, look, I don't think Branthwaite is as good as, you know, some of the price tag suggests. But I do think that when you look at Man United and what we used to do under Fergie, we used to sign the next best domestic talent coming through, like Wayne Rooney. Man City did it with John Stones. And I think Branthwaite's a very Man United deal and the model we used to follow that worked really well. He's 21 years of age. He's had 2 really good seasons in a row. He's the next best centre-back for England. He's had a man of the, you know, he's had the player of the season for Everton. I like Branthwaite. I'm not paying another 50 million for him. We walk away if he's over 50 million because there are better fish in the sea. Diamonde is available for the same price, who I think would be the better player. But I don't think that Branthwaite's a bad player. You know, I see people like, oh, Branthwaite's stats aren't the best. Oh, Branthwaite's possession stats aren't the best because he plays for Everton because he's not asked to play out from the back. Branthwaite for the right price is okay, but need a real pacey type right centre back as well. 100%. If we just sign Branthwaite, I'm not 100% happy with that. We still need 2 centre backs. For me, if we can get Branthwaite and Todibo for around 90 million combined, I think we can get them for about 85 million combined, that would be a good deal. Thank you very much for the super chat. How about the backup for Maximilian Bia? Yeah, I think for sure. I don't know a load about the Hoffenheim striker. And if we get linked to him more, I will do a lot of research. But from the initial research I've done, someone I've spoken to, 27 million release clause for a 21-year-old striker that scored 16 goals in the Bundesliga last season, is able to drop deep and rotate and quite versatile, could be a good option there. Xerxes Cunha is the profile I want because I know they facilitate the wingers. They facilitate the wingers, they drop deep. They're a Firmino-esque kind of profile, and I think that brings them out of the best of Rashford and Olise, who are output wingers. But obviously, I think Bia could be a good option, but I would have to do more research on him to know how I feel as well. Isn't Simons priority Barcelona and second United? Well, I'm not sure. I feel like being called Xavi and obviously a Barcelona kid in the past, his priority would be Barcelona. But this was said by L'Equipe. Manchester United are one of many top teams who have reached out to PSG about the potential signing of Xavi Simons. They are likely to prefer a loan instead of a permanent deal. Now, Manchester United, according to reports in France, have been heavily exploring the idea of bringing Xavi Simons in on loan. Now, I think considering INEOS, I know they're building a long-term project, but considering how talented Xavi Simons is, he's available on loan, what he can add to the attack, he can create for Højlund, the technical ability he brings, what a talent he is. I do think that Man United, among with Bayern Munich and Leipzig, are exploring the possibility of bringing Xavi Simons in on loan. I think PSG wants Xavi Simons to go out on loan unless they get a massive offer. He's an unbelievable player. He's an unbelievable talent. I do think he's destined for Barcelona in the future. I really do. But he's had some really, really good seasons, obviously in the Eredivisie, in the Bundesliga, and I think Premier League would be that next big step for him. I do think Barcelona is probably his priority. But apparently there's a couple of sources coming out today that we've inquired about Xavi Simons on loan, and PSG will accept a loan offer from us for Xavi Simons. PSG will accept a loan offer for us. They'll accept a loan offer from Leipzig. They're going to accept a loan offer from Bayern Munich for Xavi Simons. They're going to accept. If we put in a loan offer for Simons, it's likely to be accepted. It's just we don't know if Simons is going to pick us. We're in that kind of situation where it's been said, you know, United are in for Simons. PSG are going to prefer a loan to a permanent deal. Man United are interested in doing a loan. But I don't know if Xavi Simons will pick us, to be honest. Like, I love the idea of Xavi Simons and him coming to United, but I'm not sure. Olise maybe Chelsea bound, but I believe he's waiting for us and should be a United player soon. I believe Olise is going to be patient. As I said earlier, doesn't need to rush to leave Crystal Palace. They're in a good place. I think Olise will wait it out. Always worry with the Bundesliga with attackers where Kroos scored nearly 10 goals their last term and he's diabolical. True. I think with the Bundesliga, you have to be a bit wary about stats. Sometimes they come and they're Haaland and they smash it. And sometimes they come and they're Sancho and what have we got there? Do you know what I mean? I still think Sancho's a good player and the system doesn't 100% suit him, but we do have to be very careful about sort of loans as well. Now, Fabrizio Romano spoke about Xavi Simons a little bit earlier on. He said no changes on the Xavi Simons story so far. He's expected to leave PSG on loan, not a permanent deal. He said Bayern and RB Leipzig are there and they're keen. We've now got reports coming out from France that Man United is the third side interested in Xavi Simons on loan and potentially signing him. PSG will accept loan offers. Man United could be willing to put a loan offer in. I just, again, don't know what Xavi Simons will do and if he will accept Man United, but what a player. Can play attacking midfield, can play on the left, can play on the right. Very good option to have. Really improve the ceiling of the squad. I think he could excel under Ten Hag. He's a great player, but I don't feel confident we'll get Xavi Simons, if I'm going to be totally honest with you as well. There was rumours of Man United looking at Subamende. I mean, I'm open to Subamende, but I don't think there's anything concrete in it. Like, one of the reasons I've not really spoke about the Subamende to Manchester United news is because I don't see it happening. He's been linked to Arsenal a bit, and then his name's been thrown in around United, but I don't think like there's anything going on with Subamende to United as well. Omar Barada starts in less than a month at Manchester United, and Omar Barada will have a big say in transfers going forward as well, which is finally good as well. We should not sell him to Juventus. We should sell Sancho to Juventus. Yeah. Why not buy Todibo for less? Why are we so focused on buying English-proven players with exaggerated price tags? Just because I think Branthwaite's a more similar profile to Varane in terms of height and box defending. What I think is going on, and what I've been told is going on from the source, is this. Man United really like Todibo, but Todibo is their third choice. The first choice is Branthwaite, the second choice is Yoro, the third choice is Todibo. If they can't get Yoro, which is likely because he's going to probably go to Real Madrid, they will go for Todibo. But because INEOS know how much Todibo will cost, because obviously INEOS own Nice, and because they know Todibo's open to the move, INEOS are very much in a position where they can hold off other clubs and just keep Todibo around and then send them to Man United in August. INEOS are in this position where they don't know the Branthwaite price. They know that Todibo is going to be about £30 million. They know that Xerxes has a 34 million release clause. They know that Olise will cost 60 million. But they don't know how much Branthwaite will cost, which is another reason why they want to get him out of the way first. Because they know what the other targets will cost. And with Todibo, they also know that they own that club. So they know that they can somewhat control what happens there. So what's going on is Man United want two centre-backs. They ideally want two centre-backs. The only situation we don't get two centre-backs is we spend a bit more money in other positions, or we just don't offload one of Maguire or Lindelof, or we do overpay for Branthwaite, which United said we're not going to overpay anymore. So if we do overpay for Branthwaite, I'll be worried. So what's sort of going on and what the situation sort of is we're going to get Branthwaite, and then if we can't get Leny Yoro, we've got Todibo, it's fine. We want two centre-backs. The money is there for two centre-backs. So I think United are just sort of like, just keeping Branthwaite there out of comfort. I think it's more like they're comfortable, not comfort. So Todibo, they're out of comfort. They like Todibo, they're comfortable with it. I think that's personally the information that I've heard personally on Todibo as well. Atletico Madrid have had an interest in Todibo, but apparently his preference would be the Premier League as well. What do you think of Xavi Simons? Brilliant player. Not surprised United are in for a loan deal, but I don't think he'll choose us, if I'm going to be honest as well. I think he'll probably choose another club, but brilliant to have him at United. I'm a big fan of Desiree Doué, Olise, Xavi Simons. That's the kind of player I want at United as well. Ten Hag is not fantastic at coaching youngsters. I disagree with that. I think that Ten Hag's most success has come from coaching young players. Yuri Timber, Lisandro Martinez, Frankie de Jong, De Ligt, Højlund, Kobbie Mainoo, Garnacho. I think that Ten Hag is good at coaching young players. I think Ten Hag is what I read something about Ten Hag actually. I read that Ten Hag's sort of style of football and how he wants to play really relies on certain profiles of players. And if he doesn't have those profiles of players, he struggles. I think Ten Hag goes into the academy, he looks at the profile of players in the academy, and the players that have the technical and physical attributes to play the football Ten Hag wants to play, I think he develops really well. Garnacho, Kobbie Mainoo, Yuri Timber, Frankie de Jong, Matthijs de Ligt. I think Ten Hag is very good at developing young players as well. So I personally disagree with that as well. I have no idea why United went bid for Olise, what they're waiting for. It's Sancho and Greenwood to be sold. To be fair to United, it's frustrating, but basically the priority is this. The priority is a Casemiro replacement and a Varane replacement. That's where the funds are going. Branthwaite and that midfielder, that is where the funds are going. So, and we also need a backup striker. So while Man United know they need a right winger, they're saying we are spending the funds on centre-back, DM, backup striker. So we need to make sure we sell Olise and sell Greenwood sell Greenwood and Sancho to put the bid on Olise. Now, in an ideal world, if we were a club that was good at selling, you'd say, why don't we just put the bid on Olise and just expect we're going to sell Sancho and Greenwood later? The problem is Man United don't have super confidence in selling Sancho and Greenwood because they're not a good selling club. Other teams know we're desperate to sell them, and there's external circumstances. I think Man United will need to sell one of their wingers to bid for Olise. And I don't think you can completely blame INEOS for that. It's not INEOS' fault that we spent 85 million on Anthony. They weren't here. It's not INEOS' fault that Sancho ended up a knob. They didn't even buy Sancho. And it's not INEOS' fault that what happened with Greenwood happened with Greenwood. INEOS know that we've got an abundance of right wingers. They don't want any of those right wingers at the club. They want Olise in. But they know that they can't bid for Olise until they've at least got a little bit of money in the door for a right winger. Because that could result in us missing out on a DM. And at the end of the day, as much as I want Olise, we're not a great selling club. And obviously INEOS hoping to change that. But that might take a year because we've got this reputation of overpaying that we've got to undo, which is going to take time. We've got 17 years of Glazer's mess that we've got to undo that's going to take time, and the full team isn't in. So next year we may be better at selling. We're not going to be the best at selling. And if you said to me, as much as I love Olise, we sign Olise and then we miss out on a midfielder because we don't have the funds because we couldn't sell Sancho in time, I'll be fuming. Like, at the end of the day, as much as I love Olise, that DM position that's going to partner Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandez is more important than Olise. Like, Olise is a world-class baller. But the player that's going to play next to Bruno and Kobbie Mainoo, that defines our season more than Olise because that game's won and lost in midfield. And that's how I feel. I want Olise. I want us to put a bid for Olise, but I think he's willing to wait. It's been said that he's willing to wait. And I think now Man United know he's willing to wait. They can relax a bit. Because we can't go into next season without a Varane replacement. We can't go into next season without a long-term DM. We can go into next season without Olise because at least we have Garnacho and Ahmed that can play there. We should get Olise. I don't want him to go to Chelsea, but I think that's the logic that United are sort of trying to use. And it's a double-edged sword. You sell first, clubs often try and winch you, but historically we don't sell well either. And that's the problem. If only we were a good selling club, we wouldn't be in this issue. Bringing Yoro, I'd be all over bringing in Leny Yoro. I do think he's Real Madrid bound. I do think, like Camavinga, he's waiting for Real Madrid. He can run down his contract. Otherwise, I'd be all over it as well. Casemiro out. There's reports that Casemiro to Saudi isn't as concrete anymore, with Saudi clubs now looking at bringing in Kimmich, but I don't know if Kimmich wants to go to Saudi Arabia because Kimmich is, well, we said this about Jordan Henderson, but Kimmich is one of those players that's spoken out about, I think it's Kimmich, unless I'm getting mixed up with someone else, but he's one of those players that speaks out about pride and human rights and all of that, which Jordan Henderson did, and he moved to Saudi. But the clubs that want Casemiro are now prioritising Kimmich, but I don't know if Kimmich wants to go to Saudi. Let's hope that Kimmich doesn't want to go to Saudi so we can get the money for Casemiro. But apparently, Casemiro to Saudi isn't as likely because the clubs are now prioritising Kimmich. But Kimmich has spoken out, I think, about issues in the Middle East. I think it's Kimmich, or maybe it's another player that's from the Bundesliga, maybe Müller or someone. So hopefully, let's hope that Kimmich doesn't want that move, and then they will push for Casemiro as well. The way the news of potential transfers both in and out is being propagated, I will not believe anything or join in the speculation till it's an actual done deal. We need to sell. Of course, I mean, that's the situation every summer. I've just reported what the media said, and the media say this and that, and the media, we know that the media do say a lot of crap. The media do say a lot of rubbish. Ultimately, the way I look at it, and the way I look at the news, and the way I look at the information sort of coming out about Manchester United and general news and general stories is, look, I know we want Branthwaite. I know we want Leny Yoro. Do I know if we get them? No. If Branthwaite goes over a certain price, we won't get him. If Leny Yoro chooses Real Madrid, which is likely, we won't get him. We want Branthwaite and Leny Yoro, but I don't know if we'll get him. We want Yusuf Fofana, but we're going to wait until after the Euros, and it's going to be competition, and we've got to rely on selling Casemiro, who now to Saudi is looking less likely. We like João Neves, but will we be able to afford him? Probably not. So I could tell you exactly who Man United like and who Man United want to sign and who Man United plan to sign. I just can't tell you if we will sign them. I could tell you a list of about 10 players that Man United would be really happy to sign. Xerxes were willing to activate his 34 million release clause. We like Xerxes, that's confirmed. I don't know if Xerxes is going to choose United. Xerxes and Xavi Simons are two players that we can get if they choose us. Olise is a player we can get if we sell. Branthwaite is a player we can get if he's for the right price. Yoro is a player we can get if he chooses us. Todibo is a player we can get if we don't get our first choice 2 centre-backs in. Doué is a player we can get if we don't get Olise. João Neves is a player we can get if they lower the price. I know who we want, I know who we're looking at, but I can't say we get them. That's the situation we're in. So obviously there's going to be speculative stuff. I can tell you one thing for a fact. The better we sell, the better we buy, the more we spend. The better we sell, the more we spend. And sales are important, but, United aren't, we know that for a fact. United aren't, and United have never really been the best club in the world when it comes to selling. We haven't. It has been said that United are one of many top teams in for Xavi Simons. United are willing to put in a loan offer, and PSG will accept a loan offer from United. Whether the player chooses Manchester United is yet to be seen, with him obviously enjoying life in the Bundesliga, and that's something that needs to be known as well. Amad Diallo next season, do you think he could leave? There's a potential Amad Diallo leaves United for game time, yeah. I mean, for me, look, if we get Olise and then Amad leaves, not the end of the world. But I like the idea of having Garnacho and Rashford on the left and Amad and Olise on the right and Anthony buggering off. For me, we should be in a situation where Anthony leaves before Amad. But we might be in a situation where we can't sell Anthony. Amad wants guaranteed game time. There's a 25 million offer for Amad. United are like, well, Garnacho's our first choice. Olise is our second choice. Maybe Amad gets moved on. But I would keep Amad myself, but there's definitely potential that Amad gets moved on as well. The A and B options we're currently looking at seem quite good. The worry is if we miss out on those, 100%. Right now, we're going in for Branthwaite, but the B and C options, obviously, your Todibos, your Yoros. If we miss out on Branthwaite and we get Todibo, not a bad issue. If you look at some of the other centre-backs out there, not bad. The problem is, as Alex said, if those B and C options get slapped up, let's say we're still negotiating a deal for Branthwaite, Todibo's gone, Bremer's gone, Diamonde's gone. Oh, we go for Inacio. I don't think Inacio is the profile we need, especially because he's so similar to Martinez. He couldn't play with Martinez, and we need someone that's going to be a Varane replacement and play with Martinez. And then we go for De Ligt, who I'm not a big fan of. I think Alex is absolutely right when he says stuff like that. We're in a good place because we could say, look, there's so many good options out there. If we can walk away from Branthwaite and go for a really good second option at centre back, there's so many good options out there if we don't get Branthwaite. So many good options so that United can walk away from it. But the problem is if we take too much time and those options go, then we're in a position where we may have to overspend. And if we have to overspend, we get one less position. I want to get Branthwaite for £50 million. I want to get Todibo for about £35 million. That's £85 million to two centre backs. I want to then get Xerxes for 34 million release clause. 70 million on Todibo and Xerxes, 50 million on Branthwaite, 120 million on your striker and your two centre-backs. 25 million, bosh, on Yusuf Fofana. Then I would go 60 million on Olise, and I would call that a good window. I'd then go all-out selling. If enough money's made in sales, I'd go for a second midfielder. Because I think you could just put Lissandro Martinez. If you sign two centre-backs, you can play Lissandro Martinez left back if worst case scenario happened, because Arteta signed Lissandro Martinez to play him left back, and Branthwaite can play as left centre back, and Todibo can play as right centre back, and Lissandro Martinez can play as left back. So then save 25 million on left back, 60 million on Olise, 35 million on Xerxes, 25 million on Fofana. Branthwaite's obviously going to be 50 million. Todibo's going to be 34 million. I'd save that funds for the sixth signing to be another midfielder instead of a left back, because we've got two centre backs in. And then I would look at João Gomez. I'd look at João Neves, who'll probably be at price. I'd look at a Mats Wiefer. I'd be looking at them all. And there's some. Do you know what? Mats Wiefer may be close to a £30 million move to AC Milan. I think there's some really good midfielders out there, and it's annoying that United aren't moving, because I feel like there's so many. I feel like it happened under Ollie. Ollie really pushed for a DM. He really wanted Declan Rice, and the club didn't get him a DM. In his final season, Ollie was sacked. Ten Hag really pushed for a DM last year in Declan Rice, but then got obviously a number 8. It's been two out of the last 3 seasons. Our managers really pushed for a DM and not got a DM, because United seem to ignore the DM position every window. I don't want to be in another situation where, we're ignoring the DM position because, Mats Wiefer's going to move to Milan now, and Arsenal going for Amadou Onana. I don't know what it is about this club, but I think DM is honestly the most important position in football at times. Part of me generally thinks DM is one of the most important positions in football and probably should be our priority. But we seem to ignore DM. Fofana versus Wiefer is a difficult one. If Wiefer's 30 million, I go for Wiefer. I think if Wiefer's 40 million and Fofana's 25, I'll go for Fofana. I would be open to getting both Wiefer and Fofana, although they're quite similar. I think that would really bulk up what our midfield would look like. But Wiefer and Fofana would be my first 2 choice midfielders. There's rumours of Wiefer being 40 million. There's now rumours of it being 30 million. If you could get Wiefer and Fofana for about 50 to 55 million combined, that'd be good. They have an ideal blend of attributes and not that much combined. I think they have a lot of similarities, but I think when you could get Wiefer and Fofana to bulk up your midfield for £55 million, 50 to 55 million combined, maybe 50 million combined. That's brilliant. Like, I love João Neves, but would I rather spend 70 million on João Neves or 50 million on Weaver and Fofana? 50 million on Weaver and Fofana. For me, the way I see it is Weaver and Fofana cost you 50 million. Okay, Branthwaite and Todibo is going to cost you 90 million. That is 140 million. Olise takes that to 200 million. And then Xerxes would take that to 235 million. That's a lot of money spent. But if you sell Sancho, you sell Greenwood, you sell Lindelof, you sell Casemiro, you can make about 100 million in sales there. You sell McTominay because you don't need him because you bought 2 midfielders. You can make around 150 million in sales. And then you're looking at 100 million net spend. That's the way I see it. That's what I would like to see at United. But again, it's not FIFA. Can't guarantee those players choose us either. Fofana would be a nice powerhouse in the middle of the pitch. Absolutely. Fofana is physically good. He's able to cover mass amounts of ground. He's a powerhouse. He's good at winning back the ball, but he's able to drop deep, receive the ball off the centre-backs, and is a very competent carrier, very able to play passes. He's got the technical attributes on the ball to play what Ten Hag would, but I think physically he brings what we need off the ball, especially with things like ground coverage and other aspects as well. The only way United get the majority of those players, Alice, you've listed off, is by giving them high wages, which could backfire into a deeper hole, which, yeah, is sadly true. Not all of them, but we do want to get cut down on that as well. I would have taken Weaver and Fofana. Fofana similar to Kobe, but Weaver can play as an 8 or more Rodri role. True. I think they can all play as a 6 and an 8. Same with Kobe. And then you've got 3 options. You've got Kobe, Weaver and Fofana to rotate those 3 positions. And then you've got Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandez to rotate the 10 position further ahead. And then players like Ahmad that can always fill in as a 10. And if you sign Olise, that could always fill in as a 10, which I think would look like really, really good options for Manchester United going forward. Guys, please do hit that like button if you have not already. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. Really liking the chat today. Really good comments as well. Sancho wants Juventus, 26 million. I think we can get 35 million for Sancho. Look, I know we're desperate to sell Sancho, but 26 million would be a joke. We have to get over 30 million for Sancho. Like, I know that I will take 30 million for Sancho if it gets to August 31st. I'll take 30 million for Sancho. But realistically, we should be able to maybe squeeze 40 million out of Juventus for Sancho. Maybe. But I think because of his wages, because of the position we're in, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult as well. Our squad doesn't have room for Olise. Even if we lose Ahmad and Anthony, we still don't need Olise. We should go for Rodrigo. Disagree. We have to get rid of some wingers before we go for Olise, sadly. But yeah, true. What players can be promoted from the youth team as backup next season? Maybe Harry Amas, maybe Wheatley. I mean, I'll show you something I did. You guys will like this, actually. So this was me saying if we didn't get Olise, what I would do. If we didn't get Olise, here it is. This is what I would do. Now, I mentioned here very clearly, I would like to bring in 2 midfielders. I said if McTominay leaves, then a second midfield signing would be needed. Now, I want to sell McTominay, and I want him to go so we can bring in 2 midfielders. I don't know if he'll go. So I'm just trying to be realistic here. But obviously, this is what I came up with, like trying to be realistic about like how Man United could maybe look next season. So the squad players that were back up were Cambuala, but I think he'll probably want a loan. He would be back at right back, back up right centre back. Harry Amas would be back up left back. McTominay I would probably sell and then look to bring in Weaver or João Neves if the funds were there. To be fair, I think João Neves and Weaver probably works better than João Neves and Fofana. I think Fofana and Weaver or Weaver and João Neves probably would, but look, I've gone with Fofana because I'm thinking price. I've gone with Lacey as a really big backup for right wing, and I've gone with Wheatley. So the players in the academy that I've put in for my future United plan is Amas, Lacey and Wheatley, and then Cambuala, obviously, but I think he might want a loan. And then that's how I've sort of imagined United next season. We've also got Martinez able to play at left back. Todibo able to play at right back if it is Todibo that we sign. I mean, I would probably get Todibo and Branthwaite. Todibo can fill in at right back. Martinez can fill in at left back if Branthwaite plays left centre back, and Todibo right centre back. Maguire's just there for backup. Potentially Cambuala's around. That's what I looked at. I would just add another midfielder. I don't like the idea of McTominay, to be honest. So I'd add another midfielder in there. But that's sort of how I was predicting United if, let's say, Olise left as well. Alvaro Fernandez is great, but I think Benfica have already triggered the buy option of like 8 million. So I think we get like 6 million for Alvaro Fernandez, but we have a buyback clause and a sell-on clause. So it's not completely the end of the world, especially because Benfica like to get 100 million for all their players. So if there's a sell-on clause, at least we get a decent amount of money. But listen, people, I'm going to wrap up the live show here. I do want to thank everyone that tuned in to today's live show. Please hit that like button on the way out, and of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Been a really good live show. I will be back tonight probably about 8 p.m. See you then. Sorry, probably just before the England game or just after the England game. So see you then. Bye.